Even Danny Green chipped in. But in this game, it was Serge Ibaka. Game 3, he lived up to his name because he threw 6 shots out of there. But this game, he had a game like he had against Skip. You remember he had that game against the Lakers where he was like 15 of 15 to start the game, and he ended up being something like 17 of 19?
I'll explain that in a minute. Go ahead.
He had that type of ball game, Skip, and that's what you need when your superstar gets it going. He still needs one person to come along with him. That's what Steph didn't get in Game 3. He had a historic performance, but he could get no one else to come along with him. Kawhi Leonard had a great performance in Game 4, and he got Serge Ibaka to come along with him. Skip, I don't know if you know this. You love Michael Jordan. But Kawhi Leonard joined Michael Jordan as the only guy to score 35 or more points in a road victory. And guess what, Skip? Didn't even turn the ball over. That's what Kawhi did. So he just showed you, healthy, I'm one of the 3 best players in all of basketball. You can talk about Giannis. You can talk about James Harden. You can talk about Steph Curry. But the thing that me, KD, and LeBron have, we're 6'9" or better. So we're cut from the same cloth. That vicuña, the best cloth that money can buy, that's the kind of cloth that we're cut from. And I'm the baddest man playing basketball currently.
Wait, are you making the case that number 2 is better than LeBron James right now? I think that's what you just said. I just said
Shannon
Sharp just said number 2 is better than LeBron, right?
Is LeBron James currently playing?
Thank you.
Hold on. Is LeBron James playing in these playoffs?
Well, unfortunately, no.
Okay,
so
then.
Does that mean it's over?
So in the playoffs.
Wow.
In the playoffs.
I can't believe you admit that. Shocking.
In the playoffs, Kawhi Leonard is the best player playing.
LeBron, did you hear that? Do you realize, LeBron, no more DMs to Shannon? He just burned the bridge.
See, I know what you tried to do, Skip Bayless, but everybody heard the words that came out of my mouth.
They heard it.
I was abundantly.
I was backtrack it, but it's unsuccessful. It's okay. Now it's my turn.
I said I'm the baddest man currently playing in the playoffs. That's what I said.
Yeah, you are. I think you're speaking for number 2. The point is, I will give you this. Number 2 played very well on Friday night because sometimes a bad guy has a good game. It happens because sometimes crime pays, and crime paid on Friday night again. Maybe it'll pay off in big dividends tonight. I don't know. But it wasn't like number 2 took over the fourth quarter. It wasn't like he dominated down the stretch in crunch time. Number 2 in the fourth quarter on Friday night took a total of 2 shots. Grand total, 2 shots, and he made 1 of them.
That's it.
Whoop-de-doo. Wow, way to go.
What about the third quarter?
I will give you this. Golden State was up 4 at halftime, and right out of the box, right out of halftime, number 2, with no real big pressure on him at that point, made 2 big threes. And I give you, those were 2 game-turning threes because they reversed the momentum. And to his credit, he came right down, pulled up with just 30 seconds into the half, made the first one, and 46 seconds into the half, he made his second one. And that set the tone for an all-out Toronto furious rally that just engulfed and overwhelmed and overpowered the home team, 37-21 in the third quarter. But even though the second 3 at 46 seconds into the third quarter gave them their first lead, Toronto, what shot gave them their final lead? What shot put them completely over the top? It was with 4 minutes left in the third quarter when somebody hit a big 3. Who could that be, Shannon Sharp? It was Serge. Serge Ibaka came out of nowhere and hit a huge 3 that gave him the lead for good. And I have seen this horror movie before because I had to live through it. It was actually Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals in 2012. And it was against my San Antonio Spurs. And my Spurs won the first 2 games in San Antonio up 2-0. Oklahoma City barely squeaked out a win in Game 3 in Oklahoma City. So now it's still 2-1 San Antonio in Game 4. Turning point, pivotal game. And what does Serge do? He goes 11 for 11. He goes 4 for 4 from the free throw line, and he was the difference in that game and ultimately in that series because that evened it up at 2-2. And the Thunder went right on to win the next game and the next game and go to the finals.
They won 4 in a way. Yep.
Yep, and that was that. So, once again, I saw the X factor on Friday night. The difference maker, the nuclear bench weapon was Serge Ibaka. He did it to me again. He scored 20 points in 20. I'm speaking. He scored 20 points in 22 minutes with 2 blocks. So, number 2, let's see, he scored 36 in 41 minutes, almost twice the playing time of Serge Ibaka, as you called him. And yet, Serge, the 20 and 22 minutes, that was the difference. If you take that away, I say Golden State survives at home. So, I think the key to Game 4 was Serge Ibaka.
So in other words, the question Jen asked me, what was the biggest reason Toronto won Game 4? And you said it's Serge Ibaka over Kawhi?
Yeah. Because every time I looked up again, I was rooting like crazy for Golden State. And every time I thought Golden State, okay, here they go. Surge. Toronto surged because of Serge. And I give you that number 2 had a big third quarter. He didn't have much of a fourth quarter, but they all chipped in the fourth quarter. And every time they needed a key basket, it was Serge Ibaka. Are you kidding me? And if you want to know the God's truth of what happened on Friday night, Golden State lost that game more than Toronto won that game because Golden State came out like I thought they would. And they just seized control right out of the box, right, to start the game. And they're up 11 late in the first quarter. And you think, can they hang on? No, they're turning the ball over too much because every time DeMarcus Cousins touched the basketball, he just gave it to Toronto, right? He had 3 turnovers in the first quarter. You can't win like that. And my guy, Steph Curry, what did he do in the first half? He goes 0 for 5 from 3. And worse than going 0 for 5, he starts hesitating and hitching with his shot, double clutching, like
He seemed unsure.
Unsure. He lost his confidence. Well, you could just tell by the end of the first quarter, the home team's got no shot here. There's no way they're going to hang on to an 11-point lead, and they didn't. They don't have a primary defender who's healthy on number 2, and if Steph is going to play like that and go 2 for 9 from 3, they're just going to lose. So I thought Ibaka was even better than number 2, and that Golden State was even worse than all of the above for Toronto. So in the end, I got to blame Toronto more than I can credit number 2 or even Ibaka.
Well, you mean you got to blame the Warriors more than you credit Ibaka?
I blame Golden State. Yes, blame Golden State. I'm sorry.
But Skip, if you remember Game 2, it was a very similar situation between Game 2 and Game 4, is that Toronto got out to that big lead, and it was Klay Thompson that kept them attached because it looked like it was about to get out of hand, and Klay scores, 9 of their first 9 points. I think he ends the first quarter with 14 or 16 points, and so he kept them attached. That's what Kawhi did in Game 4. Where you thought a game was going to get out of hand, he kept them attached. He scored 14 of their 17 points. But it was the third quarter. It was decisive third quarter because this is where Golden State normally steps on the gas and all you can see is their tail lights in the distance. But Kawhi said no. But he did. Skip, I would credit that. Serge Ibaka came along because Kawhi had 17 in the third quarter. Serge had, I think, 15 in the third quarter. And the next thing you know, 32 of their 37 points came from those 2 guys, and then Golden State didn't have anybody that can match that firepower. They needed Steph to come along with Klay like Serge came along with Kawhi. They didn't get that. Skip, at some point in time, there's a big difference. You see how those big threes that Quinn Cook was hitting? Because there was no pressure. Now you're being counted on. Now Alfonso McKinney is being counted on. Sean Livingston, look, he is what he is. He's a great guy to come in and play the point. But, Skip, who is he going to guard? You're asking him to guard Kawhi, or you're asking him to guard Siakam. No. They don't have anybody that could guard. And even if you get KD back, Skip, he can't. Man, he can't guard Kawhi with that bum cap or whatever it is, the injury he has.
I agree.
But Kawhi, Skip, again, Boy, he was at the Sydney Opera House again. That was a virtuoso,
Was
and
it?
you know it. And I told you, they're starting to come with greater regularity.
Really?
You saw them a couple of times in Milwaukee. You saw them a couple of times against Philly. Skip, he's starting to feel this again, and you know what that means.
Sort of like
there's a great chance.
Game 2 virtuoso. I don't think so.
No.
Fourth
See,
quarter
there you go.
virtuoso
You
the
want-
other night, one basket. I don't think so.
But here, let me ask you a question, Skip. If he'd had 5 baskets, if he lets Golden State do what they normally do come third quarter, where they've been plus 11 in the NBA Finals come third quarter, if he lets Golden State do that, I don't know if he could have a fourth quarter big enough to overcome, because remember, they already had a 4-point lead. So now if you let them do what they normally do, which is end up plus 11 throughout this finals run, is now you're down 15. So you're going to ask Kawhi to go for 30 in the fourth quarter? No. He said, I'm going to make the fourth quarter moot. It's going to be a moot point, because I'm going to drop 17 on you. We're going to outscore you by 16. And then guess what? We're going back to Toronto. We're going to go back. And we won't be known as the baby dinosaurs ever again.
Number 2 is often moot in the fourth quarter, unfortunately.
No,
and Steph Curry has been too often moot in the fourth quarter. If he had done to Toronto in any of these games what he did in games 5, 6 versus Houston and all 4 games against Portland, we would be having a different conversation. Do you remember what he did in the closeout game 6 at Houston?
Yes.
In the fourth quarter, he scored 23 points. That's one of those Steph flurries that you just can't overcome. It just shoots the life and the heart out of the opponent. And we have not seen one of those stretches yet from Steph Curry against this team.
And Skip, to your point.
But the Raptors have better defenders, Skip. The Raptors have
They're
better
good.
defenders than Portland.
Okay, is
They
he
have
that
better
guy
defenders
or
than
not?
Houston.
Is he that guy